Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Jam Bets. I am Tike, joined as always by the fabulous Mamma Mia. Welcome NFL Week 7, Thursday Night Football. We've got an AFC North rival matchup. We've got the Pittsburgh Steelers going into Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals are 5.5 point spread underdog with the total set at 44.5 points for the over under. But before we jump into any of that, Mama Mia, why don't you give us a recap of how you did on Sunday?
I'll start with the first player that I had selected to overperform. That was Bill Krosky Merritt on the Washington Commanders. And I was afraid that the Bears were gonna continue to let people run all over, but they did not. No. Bill was projected for 12 carries, 65 yards, 1 touchdown, 13.2 fantasy points. He came in with 17 rushes for 61 yards, 1 catch for 7 yards, no touchdowns, one huge fumble. Huge. He ended up with 5.8 fantasy points. So I was wrong, and I'm so glad that I was. I'm thrilled to say that he didn't do squat against the Bears. So I'm happy to be wrong on that one. That was thank you, Ben. And the defense was healthy. They played very well. Good job, Dennis Allen. Hopefully they can stay healthy and build some momentum from this, because that could have derailed the whole season. I feel we would have all went again, because last year Washington, it went straight downhill after that game. So this is very, very encouraging. Am I seeing the Super Bowl? Well, let's take one game at a time, right? But they played very well. The new kicker was good. I hear Cairo Santos still is keeping his job. That's today. We'll see. I don't know if he's off the injury report yet either. So I digress. But he was stuffed. He didn't get a chance to do anything, and I think he got humiliated when he made that fumble. They showed him on the sideline holding his head, and it was like, okay, we're in his head now, so that's good. That's good. A little witchcraft going on there, hexing and rosary beads and whatever we had to throw at him, we threw at him. So, do you want to go with your player, one of your players that you picked on Sunday?
Sure. So the first player I picked was Jake Ferguson. I picked Jake Ferguson to overperform. He did not overperform. He was projected 15 fantasy points and 44.5 receiving yards. He has been just a target machine up until I picked him as my overperformer. He only had 3 targets for 3 receptions for 32 yards. He did have a touchdown. He did have like 10 or 11 fantasy points or 9, whatever it is. But he did underperform. How about you, Mama? Who was your next player?
Well, my next player, I'm kind of happy about this too, that I was wrong. I picked Patrick Mahomes to underperform. I kind of went on a tirade that, that this is the shape up or shake out game for him, right? What was going to happen? Because the week before against Jacksonville, I did not like his demeanor at the end of that game. I thought he was rather, I don't care if we win or not. So he's been playing well. He ended up with 22 completions out of 30 attempts, 257 yards, 3 touchdowns. He ran 10 times for 32 yards and another touchdown. He was sacked 3 times, no interceptions. He did have 1 fumble. He was projected for 20 fantasy points, and he scored 37. He was the second highest fantasy player this week. So whoever passed this video onto him to get his head straight. Thank you. I'm happy to help if you need me to do that again. He hit Kelsey 6 out of 7 passes for 78 yards. And then 7 other players, 2 touchdowns to Hollywood Brown. He was not taking this game lightly. He played very well. And so my little ranting trash talk, he must have got wind of it and thought, I'll show her. Yeah, well done. Glad I'm wrong again, So, but it was an exciting game to watch. And how about you? What else did you have over the weekend, Tyke?
Oh yeah, Patrick Mahomes is obviously our number one fan. He, as soon as this video posts, he's watching it.
Of course.
So I had 2 other players I had given out. I had given DK Metcalf as an overperformer, and he overperformed. DK Metcalf had 95 total yards, 9 targets, 4 receptions, and a touchdown. He was only projected 14 fantasy points. He ended with, I think, 19. So he overperformed across the board. And then the last player I gave out, which will be a little bit hinting towards tonight's video, Jaylen Warren. I took Jaylen Warren to underperform. Jaylen Warren was projected 15 fantasy points when he had only beaten that mark one time this whole season. He ended with 8. So 15 was just way too high. He did have 11 carries. He did have 52 rushing yards. He also did catch both of his passes, but he only ended with 8 fantasy points. So Steelers will be playing again on this Thursday night game. Jaylen Warren's a name I'm going to be mentioning again as well. All right, Mamma Mia, let's stop living in the past. What are you looking for the Thursday night Amazon Prime AFC North game? What are you looking at?
Oh my gosh, this is going to be a good game because it is a division rivalry. They don't take these things laying down. I just feel so bad for Zach Taylor, though. Joe Flacco is no Joe Burrow. I think Flacco's going to have to be throwing the ball often, and so that's why I'm going to take Chase Brown, the running back on the Cincinnati Bengals, for my underperformer tonight. He's averaging about 9 fantasy points. He's projected between 10 and 11. There's a couple things going on. He's only scored one touchdown all year. Last 4 games, he's had less than 10 carries. He's had a 60-40 split with Samaje Perine at the Green Bay game. He had 11 touches, and Perine had 8. Of course, they lost to the Packers 27-18. He's averaging 4.7 yards per carry. He had 2 catches for 7 yards. And no rusher has rushed over 60 yards against the Steelers, and they've only given up 1 rushing touchdown. Since week 2, that would be Henderson and Stevenson. Since week 3 was Henderson and Stevenson in New England, and then week 4 was Minnesota. Mason was the guy, and then week 5 was a bye, and Cleveland was Judkins. They bottled him up. He had 12 carries for 36 yards, no touchdowns. So, since he doesn't even have, their defense is just awful. And I didn't find out about Trey Hendrickson, whether he's playing or not. But since he is number 32 in rushing yards in the league, they've got an average of 56 yards per game. So I just see the Steelers licking their chops. The Steelers defense is just going to be, let me go. Let me get that old man Flacco on the ground, and whoever else is in my way, maybe it's Chase Brown. They're not going anywhere real quick. You want to throw a player out on this game, Tike?
Yeah, I'll throw a player out on this game. So Trey Hendrickson is questionable. Looks like he's probably going to be a little bit of a game time decision. But first player I'm looking at, I've got 2 players I'm looking at, both looking to overperform. First player I'm taking to overperform is Noah Fant, tight end for the Bengals. I was a big fan of his when he was on Denver. Noah Fant so far this season has had 3 or more receptions in 3 of 4 games. He's had 26 total yards in those same 3 or 4 games, or at least 26 yards. I'm looking for him to overperform. So far this season, he's only had a 46% route share. So that's not snap share where he's on the field. I'm talking plays where he's on the field and it's a passing play where a tight end is running a route. So I do expect that to pretty drastically improve this week. Mike Gesicki, the starting tight end, is out. And then so is Hudson.
Tanner Hudson.
Yeah, Tanner Hudson, the other tight end for the Bengals, is also out. So I see Noah Fant being on the field often. Pittsburgh, pretty stout defense. But so far this year, Pittsburgh has given up the 5th most amount of receptions to opposing tight ends. They're allowing 6.4 receptions per game. And they're allowing the 2nd most yards per game to tight end. They're allowing 71.4 yards per game to opposing tight ends. This game is also, the Bengals are pretty heavy underdog, especially at home. So I think the Bengals are going to have to throw the ball. Joe Flacco, new on the team, might rely more on his safety blanket tight end. I just look at his projection as too low. He's only projected 7 fantasy points. He's only projected 24 total yards and 2.8 receptions. I think he's going to exceed that. I don't think he's going to be somebody who's going to win you a fantasy week. But if you're looking for a tight end and you want to have somebody to root for on tonight's game, I think Noah Fant's going to get the ball a fair amount of times. He's going to be on the field quite often, and I think the Bengals are going to have to throw the ball as well. All right, Mama, who else are you looking at?
Well, I'm going to switch to the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, the old man, Aaron Rodgers. Okay, he's projected for 21.2 fantasy points. He's the 18th ranked quarterback on ESPN. He's supposed to get complete 21 of 30 for 233 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. And last week, he completed 21 of 30 for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he had 21 fantasy points. So they're not going out on a limb. I think he's going to probably go off real early on this game and be slinging it. The injuries are Calvin Austin III, the wideout. He's out. So it's going to be the DK Metcalf show and possibly the 3 tight ends, Jonnu Smith, Freiermuth, and Washington. So I think he likes to throw the ball, and he's going to want to play against this defense. He's going to want to get his stats up. He's going to want to look like, he's done a good job. He's available in 77% of ESPN leagues for fantasy. Thought that was crazy. The Bengals defense is ranked 31st. They've allowed 169 points scored against them. Their passing yards average is 258 yards. If Trey Hendrickson is there, he might get sacked. Otherwise, I don't think so. Steelers' rush pass percentage has been about 30% rush, 70% pass. So they are still passing quite a bit. And I am all in on the Pittsburgh game. Yeah. So do you have another player there, Tike?
Yeah, I've got another player. I can't believe you're picking Aaron Rodgers.
It seems sacrilege because, I had him one year on my fantasy team and I had to trade him. It was like his first year because he was doing so good. I couldn't root for the Packers. I had to trade him. I couldn't do it. So I get to legitimately root for him. So
you can have
funny
him.
Things.
I'm glad he's available in 70% of leagues. It made me feel good. That made me feel good inside. That warmed my belly. So next player I'm taking Kenneth Gainwell, Steelers running back. I don't think he is the backup running back, although the last game you could probably make that argument. So Gainwell's only projected 9.8 fantasy points this upcoming week. I think that was pretty low. So Gainwell, the past 2 games, he's had 6 receptions in each of his last 2 games. 12 receptions in 2 games. That's 12 points just on receptions. Now, I don't think that's very likely to continue happening at that trend. But if he gets 6 receptions, he's going to beat 9 fantasy points pretty easily, I would imagine. I did like the stat you threw out that the Pittsburgh Steelers are throwing the ball 70% of the time compared to running only about 30. That was not what I would have guessed. When I think Steelers, I think they're handing the ball off. So maybe that's how Gainwell's getting his 6 receptions per game. They're just little dink and dunk passes, extensions of the runs, things like that. But I'm taking Gainwell. I think it's a very advantageous position for the Steelers running backs. Gainwell just exploded two games ago for 199 yards. And as I mentioned, Jaylen Warren, I am not a fan of his. He does not seem to be an explosive runner. So far this season, he's only exceeded that 16 fantasy or 15 fantasy points once. He put up an astounding 8 points last week. He just doesn't seem very efficient. Even if the Steelers get up, I think Gainwell is going to be the one back there. I don't have a lot of faith in Jaylen Warren at this point. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, but I think the ceiling for Gainwell is much higher than Jaylen Warren at this point. And Jaylen Warren last week only had a couple carries. I expect that to change. I expect the Steelers to get him more involved in the offense after that showing that he had. So I'm taking Gainwell for I think he's gonna have. I'll put it out. I think he's gonna have 12 to 13 fantasy points. I think he's gonna beat his fantasy mark by a pretty substantial amount, considering we're only looking at 1 game here. Now, I did not realize how terrible of a season Chase Brown was having until you mentioned all those stats, Momma Mia. I feel horrible for whoever drafted him in fantasy. He was going, end of the first round, second round. If you got him in the third round, you're like, this is a steal. I'm going to win my league. He is probably losing people fantasy leagues right now. He's losing leagues because you can't bench him, and he ain't doing crap for you. 1 touchdown on the year is
abysmal.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So for the game, Steelers, Mama, I already know you think the Steelers are gonna win. Will the Steelers win by more than 5.5 points? That's the question then.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I have them winning. It's funny. I didn't know the over-under was 44.5. I have the score 27-17. I have a feeling that Pittsburgh's going to come out with a quick lead in the beginning, and possibly third and fourth quarter, they'll just be handing the ball off to Warren and your guy, Kenny. So, and maybe in garbage time, they'll get a couple of points for Cincinnati. But that's 44 points right there. So I'm right on the cusp of what they're saying. So I'm going to say it's going to be under because the defense is just that good, unless the Steelers just run the score up. I mean, if they run the score up, then they'll blow this over under 44 pretty easily. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a better game than what we're thinking. This is a rivalry game. I am all in on Pittsburgh. They're my highest in my confidence pool. If I had Survivor pool and I hadn't used them yet, I'd be using them this week. I have a feeling they're going to be one of the first teams to clinch playoff spot. Their division is so weak. Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati are all injured and very unable to score points. I'm hoping that they stay the course and they, they've got some experience. They know how to win games. So they should be able to take care of this one is my point. How about you? What are you thinking?
I'm going to take the Bengals. I'm going to take the Bengals. I'm going to take the Bengals to win. Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco knows the Steelers. Joe Flacco knows Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, but he's on the Bengals. He's not on the Baltimore Ravens anymore, honey.
He's on. I know he's on the Bengals. Joe Flacco knows Mike Tomlin. He knows this division. He knows this rivalry. Maybe not from the standpoint of the Bengals, but also why I'm going to go with the Bengals here is these Thursday night football games have just been a upside down madness to what we think is going to happen. 2 weeks ago, the 49ers were going into LA to play the Rams with their entire team hurt. Everything said it's lopsided. The Rams are going to win by 20. The Rams got their asses beat.
True.
Last week, Philadelphia Giants at the New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles got their asses beat. Both of those games were divisional matchups, short week, Thursday night football. I'm taking the Bengals. Oh,
you're scaring me.
I'm taking the Bengals. I think these trap games on Thursday night, I don't know what's going on, but 3 straight divisional games, 3 games that just look 100% lopsided every way you look at it. Taking the Bengals. Taking them. Taking the Bengals to win outright. Steelers can keep the points.
Is it going to be over or under?
I'll take the over. The over. I think
that's going to be a hell of a game if you've predicted that right. That's going to be, man, sit down and get your popcorn ready, man. Woo.
I think it's going to have to go over if the Bengals are going to win. Their defense is atrocious.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Both of the other games I mentioned also went over.
They did. All right. Well, anything is possible, especially on a Thursday night in October. Oh my gosh.
Week 7 is kicking off. All right, everyone. That's all we have. If you have any fantasy questions you'd like our input on, go ahead, drop a comment in there. We've been playing fantasy football forever. So go ahead, drop them in there. Give us a like, give us a share. And we'll see everyone on.
You don't have to agree with us. We'll give you our opinion though.
Oh yeah. Better off. Yeah. We'll give you our opinion. But we'll see everyone Sunday.
All right.
Bye.